The economic fallout from Western sanctions against Russia is now spreading to more countries and continents. Consumers across Europe and Africa are now bearing the brunt of the backlash amid soaring food and fuel prices. Thousands of truck drivers have formed roadblocks in Madrid, calling for the resignation of Spain's transport minister over skyrocketing fuel prices. It is the latest development of protests in the Spanish capital over the past 2 weeks amid economic backlash over Western sanctions against Russia. Meanwhile, the chairman of the French Energy Regulatory Commission has urged residents to conserve electricity and gas due to a risk of supply disruptions.
We must conserve gas and electricity in France right now. Otherwise, things could go wrong next winter.
It's 19 degrees Celsius in my home. I put on 2 sweaters. I only heat the rooms that I live in. I don't know what else to do. I'm used to this. I don't see what more I can do.
Of course, you have to cut back, and that's it. You have to reduce everything, to reduce your expenses for water and pay attention to everything right now. We'll have to get used to it.
I'm particularly concerned about the industry, about agriculture, because if we have a harsh winter in France, it'll postpone a lot of things, especially the efforts that we're ready to make. There are limits. We'll see. It's ultimately a matter of the collective conscience. I live alone, so it's easy. For a family, it's much more difficult.
The Italian economy has also been hit hard. Farmers say that they are on the verge of bankruptcy amid dramatically rising costs. They are afraid their supplies might come to an end.
I know several companies that'll be forced to close because of the very difficult economic situation, and others that when they face the end of their supplies will have to do the math and think about whether to continue their production or face closure. The main problem since the outbreak of the war has been the increase in the cost of raw materials, particularly corn and soy. Energy costs have doubled.
The boomerang effect of economic sanctions is now being felt not only in Europe, but on the African continent as well. Kenya has raised diesel and petrol prices by 5 Kenyan shillings, an historic high. Now, the move is expected to significantly increase the cost of living in the East African country, where the majority of households rely on kerosene and petroleum gas for cooking. Here's what some locals have been saying.
I have come from various places all over this town looking for fuel. We have moved all around. I am even forced to push my motorbike. This motorbike, I got it on loan. I still have to pay for it. I have not earned any money all day. I have not found any work and there's no fuel in town. The price started at 106 Kenyan shillings and just keeps going up. It's now more than 145 shillings.
We've been having a big problem here in Nairobi with fuel. I just arrived here at the petrol station. There is no fuel left. The price is very high. According to experts, many of the products used to make petrol and diesel come from Russia and Ukraine. So all because there is war there, we are having these problems over here, making fuel prices shoot up and also creating a supply shortage.
I have traveled all the way from the city of Kapsabet and am trying to get fuel for my car. It has become a challenge because we don't know what is happening. Last week we had the same problem. We don't know if the problem is also in other cities, or if it's only like this here in Nairobi. I am forced to leave my car here. I don't see anything that I can do with it.
Meanwhile, French President Emmanuel Macron says that it would be impossible to pay for gas supplies in rubles as requested by Moscow. In a phone call with Russian leader Vladimir Putin, Macron insisted that switching to rubles would break the terms of current contracts. Now, Moscow has said that it would supply gas paid for in rubles or none at all. Russia accounts for about 40% of the EU's gas imports. Amid the fallout over the conflict in Ukraine, the bloc is moving to cut its dependence on Russian energy supplies and recently inked a deal to buy more expensive liquefied natural gas from the U.S. instead. Moscow's permanent representative to the EU says Europe seems to be seeking to inflict massive economic damage on its own people and businesses.
What is the G7? It's an informal club of a number of countries, all of them actually falling into the category of those who have introduced sanctions against Russia. So their point of view will hardly be decisive in what happens. All these measures, they are an additional impact on the already overheated situation in the energy sector of the European Union, which was aggravated not as the result of anything that Russia was doing, but as the result of sanctions being introduced by the European Union and other Western countries against the Russian energy sector. Definitely, there will be a major impact because according to all economists and all energy specialists that matter, there is no other alternative source in the short term that can fill the gap should Russian gas supply be terminated. Now we will have to see. The European Union is speaking of a perspective regarding weaning off the Russian energy supplies, but that will take time. I don't want to speculate how many years, but certainly it's many years.